Olá, pessoal, boa tarde. Mais uma live da ABT. Hoje, uma atração muito especial, uma live internacional. Para me ajudar na tarefa de hoje, né, com a entrevista do professor Isaku Kageyama, tenho meus dois grandes amigos aqui, o Lucas Muraguchi e o Yuji Higashi. Deem um oi aí, pessoal.
Oi, gente. Tudo certo? Estou muito animado para hoje. Saudades do Sensei.
Sim, ele já está preparado. Estávamos conversando sobre Taiko, inclusive, muitas coisas. Antes de chamar ele, eu vou explicar como vai funcionar a live de hoje, rapidamente. Como tem muita gente que não entende o inglês, até o nosso inglês não é 100% perfeito, a gente vai fazer uma conversa meio casual com ele. Então, o Lucas Muraguchi, ele vai ficar responsável por fazer as perguntas e o Yuji Higashi vai traduzir, mas não traduzir literalmente, né? Vai pegar as principais palavras e conseguir traduzir, né, a ideia dele. Então, se vocês tiverem perguntas em português ou em inglês, podem colocar no chat. Escrevam também o grupo de onde vocês são, se vocês tiveram contato com ele. E antes de chamar ele, vamos falar um pouquinho sobre ele, né? Ele que veio para o Brasil mais de 5 vezes, eu acho que foi 5, mas ele está falando que acho que foi mais de 7, né? Ele já veio 2 vezes com o grupo Amanojaku se apresentar para cá. Ele foi responsável por passar a música Kenka Yatai, né, uma das músicas mais tocadas pelos grupos do Brasil, uma música inclusive que o Lucas e o Yuji apresentaram no Campeonato Júnior lá do Japão. O Kageyama Sensei também, ele veio aqui na época do centenário, ajudar com a música do Kizuna Kenka. O Kageyama Sensei, além de ser tocador da Amanojaku, ele foi campeão de Odaiko lá no Japão. E o currículo dele está aí embaixo, tem os links também, né? Eu vou passar então a bola pro Muraguchi, pro Yuji, para ver se eles têm alguma coisa para falar do Sensei, enquanto a gente espera o pessoal entrar.
O Kageyama Sensei me marcou muito, porque eu não falava Nihongo na época, eu não falo Nihongo até hoje, né? Então foi o primeiro Sensei do Japão que eu conseguia conversar. E foi muito marcante para mim poder tirar dúvida direto com o Sensei, não precisar de um tradutor, né? Porque depender de tradutor é sempre muito complicado. Então foi um Sensei que eu consegui me aproximar muito e consegui tirar muita dúvida que eu tinha.
Eu lembro dele ensinando a gente o solo de Okedo, o solo de Nagado, que a gente estava discutindo agora, as bordinhas, o dom, doro, stonga, nossa. E ele também fazia os exercícios junto com a gente, as carriolas, e corria junto com a gente. Foi muito, muito, muito divertido. Muito divertido.
Isso, Kageyama Sensei foi muito marcante, né, para a geração, principalmente da nossa idade, né, a idade de vocês, eu sou um pouco mais velho, mas para os líderes do Taiko do Brasil, ele inspirou muita gente, né, por ele ser mais jovem do que os outros professores, ter um pouco mais proximidade com a nossa idade, era bem mais fácil de conversar com ele, né, ele era bem acessível. Então, né, hoje, pessoal, eu não vou perder muito tempo aqui vendo os grupos que estão aqui, para a gente conversar com ele, mas eu tô de olho aqui no chat, viu, pessoal? Então, vamos chamar o nosso sensei, direto dos Estados Unidos, lá da Califórnia.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Hi, Kageyama Sensei.
Hey,
Hi, Kageyama Sensei.
Everybody likes my bed. Likes my
it's
bed.
It's an honor to have you here. Please
Thank you.
For the start, please say a few words for our viewers.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for having me. It's been a while, like what, since 2008? So 12 years. There's a lot going on in the world right now. There's a kind of a global pandemic going on, but I hope everybody's staying safe, staying healthy, staying sane.
Yeah.
And I hope everybody's playing and enjoying Taiko in whatever capacity that they can.
Isso aí, pessoal. Então, ele está perguntando se a gente está tudo bem, né? Que ele, última vez foi em 2008, já faz algum tempo, e ele está falando que a nossa situação atual não está muito legal, e ele espera que ninguém fique louco, não fique insane, igual ele falou. É isso aí, Teru.
Ok, então vamos para as perguntas já, né, Lucas? Let's go to the first questions.
Eu vou começar perguntando da onde que ele é e como que ele começou a tocar taiko, porque muita gente ainda não conhece a origem do sensei. So, Isaku Sensei, tell us, where are you from, where were you born, and how did you first start playing taiko? How did you first got in contact with taiko?
So I was born in San Francisco, California, and I moved to Japan when I was 4 years old. And I grew up in Japan for the most part. So elementary school, Japan International School. And then middle school, I went to Detroit, Michigan. And then high school, college, back to Japan. Eventually, I became a member of Amanojaku. I toured with them from 2006 to 2011. And then I moved to Boston to attend Berklee College of Music. After I graduated there, I moved to LA. And I've kind of been in LA for the past 5 years-ish. In terms of taiko, my parents were kind of concerned that, well, you know, you're Japanese American, kind of going to international school, so you don't really have like formal interaction with Japanese society. So they said, you know, you need to do something Japanese. And I was 6 years old, and my parents were and still are friends with Kenny Endo, and Kenny was my first teacher. This was like, this is in Tokyo. This is like before Kenny moved to Hawaii. So like maybe like about a year and a half later, after I started lessons with Kenny, he moved to Hawaii and he introduced me to Watanabe Sensei of Amanojaku. And I stayed with Amanojaku from age 8 and onward.
Oh, I see. So sorry, Yuji, please.
Bom,
wait. Let me put you here. Nice.
Vou tentar falar um pouquinho. Se eu esquecer de alguma coisa, por favor, meus amigos aí complementam. Ele nasceu em São Francisco, na Califórnia, e se mudou para o Japão com 4 anos de idade. E, posteriormente, ele treinou na Amanojaku de 2006 a 2011. Depois, ele veio para o Boston College, voltou para os Estados Unidos. E ele também estava comentando que os pais dele falaram para ele fazer algo japonês, né? Algo que tivesse dentro da cultura japonesa. Então, aí, lá no Japão, ele teve contato com o primeiro professor dele, que foi o Kenny Endo, o famoso Kenny Endo, que ele ainda não estava no Havaí, e foi o sensei Kenny Endo que apresentou o Watanabe Sensei para o Kageyama Sensei.
Agora eu vou perguntar sobre o Watanabe Sensei e o período que ele passou no Amanojaku. So, Sensei, how long did you spend on Amanojaku, and how was Watanabe Sensei as a teacher? Did he taught you something that you'll never forget?
Yeah. So I was with Amanojaku from age 8. Basically from age 8 until when I moved to the US in 2011. So I was with Amanojaku for like more than 20 years. And I think Watanabe Sensei taught me, I consider him like a second father. And I often refer to him as my father in music, because he taught me every taiko technique that I have is from him. But I think if you're talking about like a specific lesson, I can't really point to like one specific lesson, but I can point to like the hours that we spent, the hours and hours and hours that we spent together. And that could be anything from like being in the car, being in the plane together, going to the next location, having dinner together, waiting in the dressing room, like all those times where I watched him basically, like a lot of times it'd be like from the moment he woke up until the moment he went to bed. You know, like I think our relationship, like I said, like father and son, I think it was very intimate, and I'm still, you know, we still are very close. but I think I learned by watching and observing, like how he, like what he did when he woke up, or how he went about his day, or how he approached his work. And I think a lot of times he would tell me like what he's thinking, or what's on his mind, or I'd be able to watch how he interacted with the students, or how he interacted with the other musicians, how he interacted with the sponsors. And I think he watched me grow from being a boy into like a young man and into the person that I am today. So very, very grateful. I wouldn't point to like one specific lesson, but he's had a tremendous impact on the musician that I am and the person that I am.
Nice.
Então, Sensei Kageyama, ele comentou que Sensei Watanabe é como um segundo pai para ele, e é o pai dele na música, no Taiko. Ele falou que está há mais de 20 anos no Amanojaku, desde a idade 8, ele falou, né? Desde os 8 anos de idade. Todas as técnicas dele, assim, foram aprendidas através do Watanabe Sensei, porque ele teve muita vivência com o Watanabe Sensei, e até hoje eles continuam muito próximos. Então, uma coisa que ele comentou que ele observava muito o Watanabe Sensei, ele convivia muito com o Watanabe Sensei, e ele observava como ele trabalhava, como ele pensava, como ele falava com os alunos dele, com os outros músicos. Então, ele comentou também, finalizando, que o Watanabe Sensei viu ele de um menino virar um homem. É contigo, Lu.
É isso aí. E aí os dois vieram juntos para o Brasil, né, para ensinar. Eu vou perguntar para o Sensei qual foi a primeira impressão dele do Brasil. Sensei, so then you and Watanabe Sensei came to Brazil. What was your first impressions in Brazil?
Of the country.
The country, right. So I've been to Brazil, I think like 7 times in total, and each time the people have been amazing, and each city's really been like beautiful in its own way. Like Curitiba's beautiful, like Sao Paulo's beautiful, Londrina, Maringa. I remember going to Iguazu. That was like really life changing, I think. Where else did we go? We went to like Rio. Where else did we go? Ribeirão Preto.
Yeah.
Like all those places were really beautiful in their own way, and the people were amazing, and the food, churrasco and cachaça. It's where I learned how to drink caipirinha, and the proper way to drink caipirinha is with cachaça and not vodka.
Yeah, you have to teach that to Brazil.
Yeah. I think I really enjoyed my time, and it's one of the things that I look back at fondly. Yeah.
Nice, Sensei. Ele comentou que veio aqui 7 vezes, e cada vez que ele veio, as pessoas foram maravilhosas. Cada cidade é bonita do seu jeito. Ele citou Curitiba, Londrina, São Paulo, Maringá, Foz do Iguaçu, Rio de Janeiro, Ribeirão Preto. Ele falou novamente que as pessoas eram incríveis, que a comida era muito boa. Ele comentou do nosso churrasco, falou da cachaça, e que a caipirinha é feita com cachaça, não com vodka.
Aqui, não posso mandar já?
So, agora eu vou perguntar como que é o Brasil pelo o Taiko brasileiro. Sensei, how is your opinion on Brazilian Taiko? What were your first impressions on Brazilian Taiko?
Oh, right. So, I recall it was like a totally different vibe from the U.S. or Japan, and I think in a very good way. I think back like 10-15 years ago, you guys were late teens, early 20s, right? And I remember there would be like a good 200-250 people that were like really excited about learning Taiko. And yeah, like, I mean, I think people in the US and Japan are also excited about learning Taiko. But I remember like how exciting those workshops were and how like electric the air felt. And I think you guys brought like this totally different like enthusiasm and joy to Taiko that I thought was very, very, very pure. Yeah, I think that's like the thing that really stands out to me in terms of like the impression of Taiko in Brazil. So.
Nice, nice. Bom, pessoal, Sensei Kageyama, ele falou que, né, quem participou dos workshops 10 anos atrás, que éramos todos jovens e a gente era muito empolgado em aprender o Taiko, muito, muito empolgado. Ele sentia que nos workshops tinha uma energia muito boa, então todo mundo era muito animado, muito entusiasmado, e isso ele falou que isso foi muito puro, então isso foi muito empolgante.
Maravilha. Antes de continuar, eu gostaria de comentar uma coisa que o Watanabe Yoichi Sensei me ensinou e depois a gente vai para umas perguntas. Before we continue, I would like to say a lesson that I will never forget about Yoichi Watanabe. One day we were at the restaurant and of course we were drinking. And I said to Watanabe Yoichi, I can't drink today. Tomorrow I have to wake up really early because we need to train, everything else. And he said, "Kyo wa kyo desu, ashita wa ashita." Today, tomorrow. Bom, pessoal, eu comentei aqui uma lição que o Yoichi Watanabe me ensinou, que nós estávamos no restaurante e ele ofereceu bebida alcoólica, né, uma caipirinha, alguma coisa, e eu falei que eu não podia beber porque amanhã a gente tinha que treinar. E ele falou para mim uma lição que eu nunca vou esquecer, ele falou, bebe, Teru, hoje é hoje, amanhã é amanhã. E aí eu tive que tomar.
You know, I think he's saying like that part of the work of being a Taiko player, a lot of it, or like a huge part of it, is interpersonal relations. Like you have to be able to understand people and trust people and really get to know them. And part of it is like you learn about the people while you go about your work, but you also can learn about people when you interact with them outside of work. And I think that's a very kind of like Japanese way of going about it, where you go to dinner with your colleagues after work. But that's kind of like where you get to really know them as human beings. And I mean, everybody should, of course, drink responsibly, but you know, kind of having a little bit of fun. And I think it's his way of saying, like, I want to get to know you a little bit better as a human being, and not just as, you know, a student or as a Taiko player, but I want to see Teruo the human being. I think that's what he's saying with that.
O Sensei Kageyama, ele tá falando que isso que é legal no Taiko, essas relações, as pessoas que a gente conhece, essas interações com as pessoas, que é muito importante. E ele falou que na cultura japonesa tem muito essa parte do happy hour, que vai depois do trabalho, sair para comemorar. Ele falou, logicamente, tem que beber com responsabilidade, mas nessa situação, em especial, ele estava querendo falar que ele estava querendo conhecer mais o Teru como pessoa, e não como um tocador.
I might also add that Teruo and Yuji look pretty much the same, but Lucas and I, 15 years ago, we were like about half the size that we are now.
Yeah.
Traduz bem aí, Yuji.
Vixe, agora... Kageyama Sensei falou que o Teru e eu, hoje, vendo a gente hoje, tá praticamente a mesma coisa. E o Kageyama Sensei e o Muraguchi, hoje, como eu posso definir, né?
Grande.
Ficou um pouco maiorzinho, assim.
Yeah.
Go. Keep going.
Quer mostrar aquela foto, Teru?
Vamos ver se tem alguma pergunta. Let's see. There's a question from Cindy here. Como é a diferença entre o taiko japonês, o taiko do Brasil e o taiko dos Estados Unidos?
Let's see. So I think taiko outside of Japan, I think it has this like connotation, or it has this, or not all taiko outside of Japan, but a lot of times it has kind of like a cultural significance, because it represents, or it's a voice of like in the US, it's like the voice of Japanese Americans, or the voice of Asian Americans, or in Brazil, like, you know, the voice of Japanese Brazilians. Like it not everybody, but there's that kind of connotation, or that kind of foundation kind of exists, I think, outside of Japan. But in Japan, I don't think people are really all that conscious of necessarily being Japanese per se, because it isn't really that big of a issue. If you're Japanese in Japan, it isn't really something that you think about. So a lot of times they'll they'll play taiko to represent their neighborhood, or they'll represent their group. But it's not really because I feel Japanese. And I think a lot of people that move from Japan out overseas, a lot of times they're drawn to taiko because they do want to feel that connection to Japan. Yeah, I think in Japan, people are less conscious of necessarily some kind of like connection to Japan, or connection to their quote unquote heritage or ethnicity. Outside of Japan, I think that is a little bit of a, to varying degrees, like kind of a fundamental part of it. But that being said, there's taiko in Europe that is not really attached to it at all, because a lot of the people that play taiko in Europe are not of Japanese ancestry. So, but in terms of the question, Brazil and US, I do feel like there's this really strong tie to Japan. Whereas in Japan, kind of surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, there really isn't that connection to Japan per se, but more to the group that they belong to within Japan. Yeah, sorry, I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah, it does.
Bom, pessoal, Sensei Kageyama, ele está respondendo a pergunta da Cindy, né? Que o taiko fora do Japão, ele tem uma conotação um pouco diferente. Então, ele comentou assim nos Estados Unidos que o taiko nos Estados Unidos seria a voz do japonês fora do Japão, digamos assim. E mesma coisa no Brasil, ele comentou a mesma coisa, a voz do japonês fora do Japão. E no Japão já não é mais assim, né? Uma coisa que o que ele falou assim, de representar um grupo, de você representar o grupo, ou de você representar um bairro. Então, assim, ele fala que essa conexão que o pessoal que está fora do Japão é para você, uma questão de herança dos antepassados, para você poder se conectar com a parte do Japão, quando você está fora do Japão. Então, ele falou assim, não sei se isso tem muito sentido, mas... E ele também comentou que na Europa, nos Estados Unidos, não tem muito, digamos, não ancestrais, mas muitas pessoas que tocam taiko, mas que não são descendentes. E ele falou realmente que dessa parte do Japão é uma questão mais de você representar o seu bairro, o seu grupo.
Isso, você quer escolher, pessoal do chat, seria legal vocês comentarem aqui quem teve contato com Kageyama Sensei. Acho que o Takao de Londrina, we were talking about you before starting a gente estava falando de você, Takao, antes de começar. O Eric também.
Nice.
Shintaro-san, do you remember?
Yeah.
Matheus também, nós estávamos conversando, então...
Nice. Oh, hey, what's up?
Então, se vocês tiveram contato com Kageyama Sensei, escreva aí no chat. O nosso presidente da associação também está acompanhando a live. The new president of ABT is enjoying the live too. And we have a question from 80. Lucas Oishi is 80.
Nice. つははよほほ What made you choose to live off music as a lifestyle?
O que fez o sensei escolher a música como um estilo de vida? E aí fez uma menção ao Kiai do Shimedaiko do Kenka Yatai.
Live off music? Yes, yeah. Let's see. It's hard to pinpoint like one thing, but I think it's kind of like what makes me feel fulfilled. And I think at different stages in my life, music meant different things to me or fulfilled different parts of my existence. I think recently, one of my favorite moments is like we were on stage and we're playing, and then let's say I play something and then Lucas, you respond to it in a certain way, and then I respond back to that, and then it's like we're responding to each other because we know, like, we share a secret that only a handful of people in the world know. Like for example, if somebody said like, you know that's like where that's from or what that's a reference to. And then let's say I played something that referenced that, right? Because I know that that's the next part, right? Then it's like we're speaking this language that really kind of only a handful of people in the world understand and can share, and it's like we're sharing a secret on stage. Like that, I think that's like a really kind of like a fun moment, or it's like a kind of like a really intimate moment, because there has to be a certain level of study that goes into, being able to understand that and then also being able to play it. So it makes me feel like really like, wow, this is really like I'm part of something special.
That's deep, very deep.
Yeah. Those are some of like the moments that I feel like, yeah, this is why I do what we do. Other times, people will say like the other day I released a few Obon songs, and then people would write in saying like, we played them at the Obon festival and it was a lot of fun. And it's like, oh well, that's great, because that's why we do what we do. That's why I trained, or that's why I worked hard, so that I could, give people the joy of, or share that with people. I think like specifically, there's this one time, and this is kind of a funny story. I went back to Japan during the summer, and I was living with my parents in Tokyo for like, I don't know, a couple weeks. And then I went outside, and then I was wearing like swimming trunks and a polo shirt. And I saw a lot of people walking around in a suit and tie in the summer in Japan. And those people probably have a more stable life than I do. They probably have more money than I do, or whatever. But I was like, you know what? I am happy in my swimming trunks and my polo shirt, walking around Tokyo. Like, I don't need a watch. I don't need a car. Like, well, aside from carrying Taiko, like I'm good. Like this is the life that I chose, and I'm happy. I think that's kind of been the result. I didn't know that was what it would end up being, but yeah. I think there's like, I'd rather have that, and I think I felt that maybe like from roughly age 16-ish. Sorry, there's a lot to translate.
I will try.
Thank you.
Ele disse que é difícil apontar só para uma coisa que realmente preenche, que fulfill, né, que ele falou, para ter esse tipo de carreira no Taiko. E uma coisa que ele citou, que eu achei bem legal, que o Lucas falou assim, é profundo, que recentemente eles estavam se apresentando, e ele sentiu uma sintonia com o outro tocador, e ele falou assim, é como se fosse, a gente tivesse um segredo que só a gente sabe, e que a gente está em sintonia para isso. Então, seria uma linguagem entre eles. E ele também comentou que é muito importante que isso daí não vem de uma hora para outra, que tem uma técnica envolvida, que tem um conhecimento envolvido, e isso realmente é muito divertido. E seria uma linguagem que somente poucas pessoas no mundo podem compartilhar, que ele comentou. Aí ele também comentou em outro dia que ele voltou para a casa dos pais no verão no Japão, né? E ele estava lá, tranquilo, no verão, com roupas confortáveis, shorts, e passou várias pessoas de terno e gravata andando lá em Tóquio, e ele começou a refletir e falou assim, eu não preciso de um carro, não preciso de um relógio, não preciso disso, pode ser que essas pessoas tenham mais dinheiro que eu, tenham mais poder de compra que eu, mas não é isso que eu quero, eu tô feliz como eu tô, tendo um Taiko e tocando Taiko. E isso, ele comentou, me corrijam se eu estiver errado, Lucas e Teru, ele comentou que aos 16 anos, né, que foi mais ou menos esse switch que ele já sabia, né?
É que ele percebeu que não era isso que ele precisava para ser feliz, que não era um carro, um relógio, era poder ter os taikos, né? Poder ter a música.
O pessoal andando de terno lá no Japão, no verão, pessoal, o verão do Japão é bem intenso. Uma última pergunta, one last question, depois a gente volta para mais perguntas, né? Yoshiko-san.
Oh.
Ela perguntou se ele tem acompanhado algo do Taiko do Brasil. So, Sensei, have you been following something about Brazilian Taiko?
Yeah. Like whatever that I see on Instagram or Facebook. I was telling Lucas just, I don't know, right before we went on the air, that they did really excellent at East Coast Taiko Conference a few years ago.
Thank you.
Yeah, I saw the video, the performance, like very, very it's very entertaining to watch. Like it goes from one thing to the next, and then and then switch out the okedo and then start playing, or like a lot of it's just really fun.
Yeah.
I like that. I also sometimes I see like footage of the competitions. I try to keep in touch with a lot of the like you guys, the leaders. People send me stuff, and it's like Brazil's always been a part of my heart. I mean, once you've been somewhere like 7 times,
Yeah.
and I think I think more than that, I think the time that we shared together was really intense, like in a good way. Like it was really intense, and there was also this the Sennin Daiko, that like this big goal, this thing that we had to accomplish.
What do you mean by Sennin Daiko?
The Centenario.
Centenario.
Yeah.
the Sambodromo where there's like 1,000 people playing. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
and getting 1,000 drums into that venue, and like what a challenge that was. You know what I mean? When you think about it, like, so we went from like, where we were to eventually doing that, right? And that's like, it's some pretty intense time that we spent together, I think. But so it's not, I don't think I would ever forget that. The time that we spent together, and the work that we did, but also the fun that we had. Brazil's always been a part of my heart. Yeah.
Pessoal, então ele primeiro começou comentando que tudo que tem no Instagram, no Facebook, ele acompanha. Ele também comentou sobre a participação do grupo Shindaiko no East Coast Taiko Conference, que eles mandaram muito bem, que foi muito divertido, a apresentação foi dinâmica. Ele também comentou da parte das fotos do campeonato, que às vezes ele vê, as pessoas mandam coisas para ele também acompanha. E essa última parte que ele falou que é muito de sentimento, que o Brasil sempre fez parte dele, porque foi muito intenso, foi muito divertido o tempo que ele passou aqui no Brasil com as pessoas. E ele falou também do centenário, que foi bem desafiador colocar tanto taiko junto. Os treinos foram muito divertidos, e ele falou assim que nunca vai esquecer esse tempo e que o Brasil faz parte do coração dele.
Uhul!
Vocês entenderam, né?
Vou mostrar algumas fotos aqui. I'm going to show some pictures, some old photos.
Okay.
Here. No, we're going to speak about them.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, we use regular photos.
Primeira vez que o Kageyama veio pro Brasil, the first time, 2004.
Yeah, this was a really so I think what we're playing right there is I think it's Akita Oharabushi, which is a folk song. It's kind of a unique folk song because it's sung, the lyrics are sung from the perspective of a deer. And the deer is saying, and the deer is about to be shot or killed by a hunter. And the deer is saying that I don't mind being shot, or I don't mind my life, losing my life, but I think of my wife and child, and how they're going to survive the winter. And as I think of that, I start to cry. Those are the lyrics of that song. So not the most happy song, for sure.
Yeah.
But kind of a very unique song because it's sung from the perspective of an animal. And this is like, I think when I learned that song, and because the shimidaiko that I'm playing, or that style of shimidaiko, is very different from kumidaiko. The taiko that's played in Mio is different from the style of kumidaiko. Different. The drums have like a different role. They kind of, for example, like within like a 3-minute or 3 or 4 minute song, I'm playing maybe like a total of 30 seconds maybe out of that 4 minutes. And it's really like about knowing how that song is supposed to sound, or being like in tune with that aesthetic, which is like a different aesthetic from kumidaiko. So I had to really listen to a lot of different recordings of that and try as best I can to capture or understand that aesthetic. But I remember that was a very challenging part of the show, at least for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it. Like you just play to punctuate the bars, right?
Yes, that's
just
correct.
in the end of the bars.
Yeah. I think so. One more thing. Can I? Sorry. Do you want to translate, Yuji, or do you want to? I think you might be on mute, Yuji.
Você está mutado aí.
Yes. Sure. Oh, ok. Sensei Kageyama, ele estava falando que estava tocando a música Akita o Harabushi, que conta a história da presa que está prestes a ser executada pelo caçador, é isso?
É isso, da perspectiva do deer, do veado. Do alce.
Isso. Não é uma música muito feliz, ele comentou, e o Shimedaiko que ele está executando agora, ele falou que é bem desafiador, porque não é igual o Kumidaiko ou outras músicas, assim, porque ele tinha que se conectar com a música e são partes específicas. Então, ele comentou que ele tocou 30 segundos e era bem diferente do que o normal, assim, de você ver na apresentação a música, assim.
Eu queria traduzir a letra da música um pouquinho que ele comentou, que eu achei interessante. É do ponto de vista do veado. Então ele falou que a música é diferente porque é do ponto de vista de um animal. E ele falou que o animal ele não se sentiu mal por ser atacado, né, por ser caçado. Mas ele se preocupou. Mas e a minha família? Será que eles vão conseguir sobreviver ao inverno sem mim?
I also remember this very specific performance because I think it was one of the first times that we played that song live. So I had basically kind of like learned this new style, and I had played it in rehearsal, but I hadn't played it on stage yet. And I think this is maybe like the first time that I'm playing it on stage. And I think like right as we're about to play, like I got really unsure. Like I felt like I wasn't sure if I could play the song. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I was like right as I'm about to play.
We've all been there.
So like right as I'm about to play, I'm like, how does the song go again? You know, and like in a moment, like I looked over to the side of the stage. So like right around, like behind that drum past the curtain, Watanabe sensei is standing there. And right as we're about to play, I'm like, oh God, how does the song go again? And then I looked over at him, and then he was kind of like getting into his own zone, or he wasn't even like worried, or like he was just like getting ready to play Kagura, I think, which is the next piece that we played. And I think that's when I really kind of came to the realization that once you're on stage, you're on your own. and you have to take responsibility for your own playing and kind of the process that gets you to that point. I think up until this point, I had always like relied on Watanabe sensei in one way or another. Like I always knew that he would be there as like the safety net to catch me if anything ever went bad, or if I ever made a mistake, he would always like be there. And this one is like one of those situations where like the music is very nuanced. But hey, guess what? You're on your own. And it's like, good thing I practiced that one, because like in that moment, if I didn't like listen to that song over and over and over again, I'm sure it would have fallen apart.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bom, aqui Kageyama Sensei, ele falou que essa foto da performance dele foi bem especial, porque foi a primeira vez que ele tocou no palco e ele estava bem inseguro, ele não estava com a certeza de poder tocar a música, e ele olhou para o lado, assim, para a coxia, viu o Watanabe Sensei, e ele não estava preocupado, a cara do Watanabe Sensei, E daí ele até comentou que a gente deu risada aqui, que quando você tá no stage, quando você tá no palco, você é responsável por você mesmo. Então ele pensava assim, o Watanabe Sensei sempre vai estar aqui para qualquer coisa, caso der algum problema. Daí ele falou assim, mas adivinha, que nessa vez eu tava por minha conta mesmo.
I think the flip side is that now that a lot of times, or like that, I'm the band leader sometimes. I kind of I think it's taught me to not worry about the other performers. Like if we were to ever do a show, like I'm not going to worry about, you know, is somebody going to make a mistake, or are they going to be okay? Like that's like we've already done that, and it's, you know, I'm just going to worry about myself, and, you know, just trust that everybody's going to be fine, because we've done the preparation, we've done all the steps that we need to do up until this point, so I have nothing to worry about. I think kind of like letting go and not being like it because you get really tense when you're like worried about something, and there's only so many things that you can worry about during a live show that, you know, like I have enough things to worry about myself that I don't want to be worrying. I can't be worrying about other people. You know what I mean? So I think it's kind of taught me to, now that I'm in a different stage in my taiko playing, it's taught me to really kind of like be like what Watanabe Sensei was doing at that moment, and just, you know, worrying about myself and trusting the other performers.
Mas ele comentou basicamente que ele está preocupado com ele mesmo, com a performance dele, com as preocupações pessoais dele que ele tem que executar no palco. Então ele acredita que todo mundo fez a sua parte e cada um sabe o que tem que ser feito. Então, isso daí que ele comentou agora.
Eu sei, Sensei, por que você estava preocupado. I know why you were worried. Porque você era jovem, Sensei. Because you were really young. Essa é uma foto da primeira vez que o Sensei veio para cá.
Right, yeah. I'm like half the size that I am now.
Falou que estava com a metade do tamanho que ele está agora.
Oh wow, what is that? That's, I thought I was gonna say that. Who is that? Is that Mia next to him?
Yes.
No, you were in the back.
Eu
and
e a
then,
me and me.
Oh right, and then Koki, and then who is that? Is that Konishi? Who is that?
Não tenho ideia. No idea.
No idea. Right. Cool. Where is that? Osasco?
Marília.
Maridia. You're right. Okay. Nice.
Próxima foto, muito legal. Next photo. Really nice one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lucas.
That's it.
You're a little boy.
Yeah. I was young and naive.
You were like you must have been like 16 or 17 in this photo.
Yeah, probably 15, something like that.
Yeah. But I remember you telling me like you got accepted into college like way earlier than normal, right?
Yeah. I actually got into college when I was still underage.
Right.
A little bit early.
Mm-hmm. That, I wonder, is that a Shiraskaria? No. What is that guy in the back?
Probably.
Yes. Provavelmente uma churrascaria.
Yeah.
Probably. E os outros integrantes da Amanojaku, né? And the other members from Amanojaku.
Hiromi Sensei, Daisuke. Yeah. Daisuke is the second son of Watanabe Sensei. And Hiromi Sensei is one of the founders of Amanojaku. So Watanabe Sensei, Ogawa Hiromi Sensei, and Kawana Mayumi Sensei, they were the three that started Amanojaku in December 1987. So roughly yeah, we say 87 or 88. But yeah, those are the three that started Amanojaku over what, 30, close to 30 years ago. Over 30 years ago. Yeah.
Nós não podemos esquecer do Victor Kokuemura. We cannot forget Victor Kokuemura. Now,
Yes.
agora ele é um advogado. Now he's a lawyer.
Yeah, Koki. I remember he was like really into playing odaiko, and like he would play odaiko like really hard for like 30 seconds and then get tired. like he would be like really intense. Don't. And then like 30 seconds later.
Sensei Kageyama comentou que em dezembro de 1987 foi a fundação do Amanojaku com 3 professores, Yoichi Watanabe e mais 2 que eu não consegui pegar o nome. Então, Muraguchi e Teru.
Hiromi Ogawa e Mayumi Kawana.
Pronto. Aí ele comentou do Koki, deu uma zoada agora, que ele gostava muito de tocar o Taiko e que nos 30 primeiros segundos ele torava, pá, assim. Aí depois disso ele já arregava e tipo...
Nas que foram. Agora uma churrascaria. Now it is a
barbecue.
Yeah, what is this? That's probably like the last day, because I see Shiomi-san there.
Yes.
And then Teruo, that's like Koki, and then Kenji.
Yeah, probably.
Is that Kenji?
Sim.
Yeah.
Sim.
Yeah. Looks like I'm drinking Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No beer, no alcohol for me.
Oh, too bad.
That's better this way.
Yeah.
I felt like those times you went to the churrascaria every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Não todo dia. Not every day. Here's a proof. Aqui tem uma prova da gente comendo sashimi. Sashimi.
Sushi. Oh, where is that? Is that in Londrina? No. Where is that?
Probably not.
I don't think so.
I think Curitiba. I think it was in Curitiba. Esse dia o Yoichi Watanabe entrou na cozinha para preparar. This day, Watanabe Sensei cooked.
Made some sushi and sashimi, maybe.
Do you know what negitoro is?
No.
Or
Negitoro?
Yeah, so I forget, or maybe anakyu. So I'm talking about like types of sushi, particularly like rolled sushi. So negitoro is like the ground or chopped tuna with green onions and then wrapped in seaweed and rice. Anakyu is the eel with cucumbers wrapped. And I think I thought one of the sushi was like one of those two, and I ate it, and then it was like this cream cheese. Like that was I still remember that because like I was expecting one thing, and then I put it in my mouth, and then the thing that I got was like a world of difference.
Yeah.
I remember like because when you're expecting one thing, and then it's like, what is going on here? Yeah, like I didn't at the time I didn't know that like you could put cream cheese into sushi, you know, like I didn't know that was even possible. Like it didn't even like occur to me that might even be a possibility of what I'm about to eat.
Nice.
Yeah.
Teru, explica aí esse sushi aí do cream cheese.
Bom, na verdade, eu vou comentar rapidamente, é porque o Kageyama Sensei, ele comentou alguns tipos de sushi, né, que tem no Japão. E quando ele veio para o Brasil, ele pegou um sushi que tinha cream cheese, mas ele achou que era, né, o que ele já tinha comido no Japão.
Yanakyu.
Torou e de um nagi. Mas quando ele comeu, ele viu que tinha um cream cheese, então ele lembra muito bem que dessa diferença, porque ele estava esperando comer alguma coisa e comeu outra. Né? Hoje é muito comum colocar manga e morango no sushi. Nowadays, it's common to put strawberry and mango in the sushi.
Yeah.
Not exactly that you're expecting, right?
Yeah. I mean, but at least you can see it, right? And you can anticipate. Oh, this is probably gonna taste like this, right? Yeah. I don't know. Like, I'd still probably like have the mango and the strawberries in a bowl, with yogurt or something. But yeah, I mean, if people like it, then I mean, like, who am I to say? Yeah.
Bom, vamos para mais uma pergunta do Lucas, enquanto eu olho aqui as perguntas do chat, pessoal. Tem bastante perguntas. A gente tinha separado algumas, mas a gente vai preferir que ele responda as perguntas de vocês, né? Então, só para eu me situar aqui, Lucas, se você quiser mandar uma aqui enquanto eu vejo as perguntas.
Ok, depois que o Sensei veio para o Brasil, ele voltou para o Japão e aí ele começou a fazer carreira nos Estados Unidos, que é onde ele está agora, né, em Los Angeles. So, Sensei, tell us about how is your career going in LA?
In LA, so I work at Asano Taiko US, and I teach there, and I perform in a group called Unit 1. If you're ever in LA, please let me know. I like to show you around, and like the people that I work with are I work with some really amazing people. I'd like to introduce you if you're ever in town. And I think you'd enjoy meeting them. Aside from my work at Asano Taiko US, I do some like solo work, which would be like both performing and recording. I have a studio in San Pedro, which is like about 30 minutes from the airport. If you're ever in town. And working on a few projects right now. I mean, of course, COVID has had an impact on my work. But for the most part, I feel very fortunate to have projects that I'm involved in right now. Yeah, overall, it's been great.
Bom, pessoal, o Lucas comentou que ele está em Los Angeles agora, né? Ele trabalha na Asano Taiko US, num grupo chamado Unit 1. Ele toca e dá aula lá. Ele também convidou, se alguém for para lá, avisa ele que ele quer mostrar como é que é as coisas lá, para vocês conhecerem as pessoas também. E ele está tocando, gravando, e também tem um estúdio, que é 30 minutos do aeroporto, em São Pedro, sei lá, alguma coisa assim, né?
São Pedro.
Né? São Pedro, tá certo. E ele falou, lógico, que a Covid impactou no meu trabalho, mas ele acha que está tudo bem e que está envolvido em vários projetos também.
Engatando.
Então, o Eric Takihara está perguntando sobre a vida de profissional do Taiko fora do Japão. O que ele acha disso? Quais são as expectativas do Sensei?
I wonder what the my thoughts on what aspect do you think?
Probably about like making a living out of it, or is there a market for it?
I see. I would say that there. I don't know. Because you can think of it in two ways. And one is that there's more Taiko in Japan and that there's a larger market for Taiko. But you can also say that there's more competition in Japan, right? There's more Taiko players. There's like really good Taiko players, a lot of them in Japan. Whereas outside of Japan, there's a smaller market. There's fewer people that are interested in Taiko, just in terms of numbers. But there's also like kind of a camaraderie, or there's like this kind of like a community of Taiko players outside of Japan. Like for example, you guys are a great example of that. So like, I think if you were to do Taiko in Japan, you have access to a larger market, but you're really kind of on your own. Whereas outside of Japan, there are unique challenges, but there's more, I think, like of a community vibe, or like, I think a lot of times Taiko players help one another. Yeah, I think also it's really about the music that you want to be doing and the projects that you want to be involved in, and then kind of working towards that. Like, what skills do I need? What kind of training do I need to do? And then really kind of going towards the direction, like one step every day towards the direction that you're headed to, but being very clear about where exactly you're headed, I think is really important in terms of having a career in music, not just Taiko, just a career in music, or like any kind of like arts, like a career in photography, or a career as a movie director. Like any of those kind of like creative things, I think you have to be like really specific about what you want to do, and then gather like a broad range of skills that are going to help you accomplish or get towards that goal that you want. But I think you have to really know where you're headed. Like, because Taiko musician can be a lot of different things, right? You could be a teacher, you could be a community leader, you could be a performer. Within performance, there's also a lot of different possibilities. Like, you can perform at schools, you can perform at music festivals, you can be a session musician, like you record in the studio. Like that's another way of doing it. You can be like the backing musician for like a touring act. There's different ways to be a drummer or a percussionist or a Taiko player and have a career. So like really be specific about what you want to do, acquire a broad range of skills so that you're able to constantly move forward towards that goal.
Ok. Bom, basicamente ele falou que tinha duas maneiras. Ele falou que o Taiko no Japão tem mais mercado, só que tem mais competição, então você tá por você mesmo. Então, fora do Japão, ele falou, tem menos pessoas trabalhando nisso, poucas comunidades. Então, esse senso de comunidade de uns ajudar os outros é maior. E ele falou assim que não só no Taiko, mas na música, no teatro, na fotografia, no cinema, você tem que saber bem o seu objetivo e onde você quer. Então, como Taiko, no Taiko você pode ser líder, você pode ser tocador, você pode ser professor, você pode tocar nos festivais, você pode gravar no estúdio, você pode tocar no teatro. Então, assim, você precisa saber quais técnicas você precisa adquirir para você chegar no seu objetivo.
Nice. Uma pergunta bem específica, now a very specific question. Não sei se vai ser muito longa, I don't know if the answer is long, but here we go. O Lucas está mutado, então o Ichiro, o Rafael Ori.
Falando de bom odor, né, o bom, Rafael Rorinha perguntou, eu assisti muitos senseis ensinando na semana passada no Japão Foundation, e eu queria perguntar, qual que é a origem do Midareuchi? É do Obon Daiko sem o odori?
In a nutshell, yes. In a nutshell, it is. But I would say that there's a few differences between, because the rhythms are very similar. But I think there's a slightly different aesthetic or a slightly different context. And that is when you're playing at the Bonodori and you're playing with other live musicians, particularly if there's a singer, then you don't want to, you want to accent certain parts, and then you want to go let the singer do their thing. So you're kind of like you wouldn't play super loud the whole time. You would kind of like do things like play just the hits, like the accented parts. Choisa, like you would play like maybe like 2 notes, and then the rest of the time you're playing ka 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 for bonodori. Because if I play the drums, then you can't hear the singer anymore. So in that regards, playing in the Bon Odori context is a little bit more like closer to playing in a band, whereas Midareuchi is more of like a kumidaiko aesthetic, or it is a kumidaiko piece. And I think particularly with Midareuchi, it's really flashy. You do a lot of moves that are kind of like distinct to you, like everybody wants to showcase their style of playing those rhythms, and their aesthetic. So like it is the rhythms are similar and they come from the same tree. But when you're playing with a singer, you kind of have a different role. Midareuchi, like because there's only it's basically just a solo, so you have more space to express, and actually you have to, because that's part of the aesthetic. If you go up there and you don't really do anything flashy, or if you don't do anything that's like wow factor, then that's it wouldn't be like considered a good Midareuchi solo if you just went up and kind of kept it simple. I don't think.
É uma tradução meio complicada, Yuji. Eu acho que como o Rafael Roria entende bem inglês, a gente vai pular essa tradução. Mas quem tiver interesse depois, como o vídeo fica no YouTube, vocês conseguem colocar a tradução das respostas. É que ele falou bastante parte técnica, então fica complicado do Yuji traduzir. Vamos para mais uma pergunta, então. One more question.
So it's Cynthia from Rio. She would like to know how long is the practice for kids, and do you suggest that? What do you suggest to do when a player is like missing a lot of beats during practice?
Wait. So what was the first part of the question?
What's the ideal duration of a practice for kids? And what do you do in practice when a player is missing too many beats?
That's a hard one, huh? It depends on the kids, and what I mean is that sometimes the kids want to be there, and sometimes the kids don't want to be there, and that makes a world of difference. There's also the question of like, how many kids do you have at one time? Like having to teach 5 kids is different from having to teach 30 kids at the same time, right? Usually I would say like no more than 1 hour for like K through 6. I think maybe like middle school and high school, no more than an hour, no more than 2 hours, I would say. Probably like on the shorter side, I would say like if it's middle school, high school, and they're doing 2 hours, that's like a really, really dedicated group of kids that you have, and probably with a lot of parental support. I think that's also another really, like, are the parents in the room helping, or is it just you with the kids? who's taking care of the equipment. I think there's a lot of factors, so it's hard to say like one or the other, but I would say like maybe like for the younger kids, maybe keep it under an hour. And then for the older kids, maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours max. At least that's kind of the way that I feel it is in the US. Yeah, what was the second part of the question?
It was about what you should do when a player is missing too many beats during practice.
You should
making a lot of mistakes.
You take the bachi away. No, so that's also another interesting question, because it depends on why the person is missing the beats, right? Does the person understand what they're supposed to be doing, but they're not able to physically execute it? That's one thing. And then the other issue that you might have is the person doesn't understand, right? And kind of teaching at Los Angeles Taiko Institute, where you get like a really wide range of experience levels, and you get a really wide range of like types of people that come. And also you're teaching them for like a really long period of time. You're teaching them over the course of 3 months. So you really kind of get to know them, and you get to know their tendencies. From what I've learned, being able to explain things in different ways. So one way is for me to be like 1E and 2E and 3E, and like to explain like verbally, right? And then so I would show it, and then okay, let's try 1E and 2E. Like, can you count? Can you clap? Like, let's check those things. Like another way of doing it is like I would write it out on the board, like write 1E and then circle the notes where you're supposed to clap. That's another way of approaching it. Another way would be like we're gonna stand in front of the drums, and then we're gonna play the note, or like we're gonna have the metronome going dee, 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 dee. Can we hit the note that we're supposed to hit? There's many different ways of like explaining something. Like or you know like think of a word that sounds like the rhythm. So if you wanted to play like don su don go don su don go don don, for example, then like instead of going 1E, 2E, and 3E, and 4E, and like that's one way of doing it, right? But you could also say like pineapple, 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 eat it, or whatever, right? Then that makes it a lot easier for that person. And then maybe write it out on the board, or let's just do the first part. Pineapple, pineapple. Can you do that? Ready, go. Pineapple. Like kind of. I think there's different approaches that you could have, but the main thing is, does the person understand it, first of all? And if they understand it and then they're not able to play it, then what is the technical issue? Like usually it's something like they're not prepping fast enough. So you tell them like, you got to raise your hand on like earlier or later, or you know, like you have to feel that prep as part of the note that you're about to play. Kind of depends on what the particular issue is, but in a nutshell, I think having different ways of explaining it is probably a good place to start.
Bom, basicamente, o Kageyama Sensei, ele falou que tem as crianças que querem estar lá e que não querem estar lá. E isso faz muita diferença. E outra coisa também que ele comentou é o número de crianças. Então, às vezes tem 5, às vezes tem 30, isso também faz muita diferença. E se está tendo suporte dos pais, não está tendo suporte dos pais, se os pais estão ali para poder apoiar. Então, crianças mais novas, ele comentou o tempo de treino de 1 hora, e aquelas que são muito dedicadas e que têm uma assimilação melhor e conseguem treinar mais tempo, ele falou de 1h30 até 2 horas no máximo. E ele também comentou uma coisa super importante, que é o jeito que elas entendem. Então, você mudar a forma como você ensina é muito importante. O que ele falou do abacaxi aí, então, que é 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Então, ó, abacaxi, abacaxi. Então, algo assim, mas coisas diferentes para poder fazer com que a criança entenda, que é o mais importante. Então, se você está ensinando e ele não está entendendo, então mudar a forma como você está ensinando para ele entender.
Pessoal, eu sei que tem várias perguntas aqui pro Kageyama Sensei. I know that there are a lot of questions here, mas nosso tempo tá estourando, né? But we have a schedule, a time to follow. Então, Lucas, vamos, né, fazer as últimas considerações, porque a gente já está com 1h16 aqui de live.
Ok. A última pergunta, né, que a gente já tinha combinado, seria que o Kageyama Sensei desse uma dica. Que dica que ele daria para os tocadores de taiko do Brasil? Sensei, what tips would you give the Brazilian taiko players?
Well, I think I always said, pense como a cabeça e toque como o coração, right?
Nice.
Good one. Good one.
Like, I think and what I mean is that it's really important to have a plan, right? Of like you have to use your head. Like, I mean, if you think of like Neymar, like I'm sure he's thought through what training he's gonna do, what he's gonna eat, you know, like all of those, like he's thought through all of those things, and it's really important that you think of what your goal is and how you're gonna get there, and then what practice do I need, what skills do I need, like that you have a plan to get there. That's the thinking with the head part. And then the playing with the heart, that means like, but at the end of the day, you know, it's music, and it's you're not working on a spreadsheet. You know, you have to touch other people, and the only way to really do that is to be touched yourself and to be inspired yourself. And you have to always be looking for what inspires you and what touches you, what makes you want to get out of bed, and what makes you want to live life to the fullest. You have to be always finding what that is for yourself. But you also have to have a plan, you know, and then so it's kind of this balance between using your intelligence and then also your emotions. I think kind of like balancing the two, where you can't just be one or the other. I think that's for people that are playing taiko and how to get better for yourself. Now, I think for you guys now that, and the other leaders that are now grown-ups, for the most part, myself included, but I think now you guys have the responsibility of enabling others or helping others, and you're also in a position to help others, or to help to kind of like remove barriers so that they can achieve their full potential. I think now that you guys are in that position, you have the power to do that, and then also kind of the responsibility to do that. And I think that kind of I'm learning, you know, a lot myself, but I think it's one of those things where there's no like one clear answer about how to do it, because every situation is going to be a little bit different. But I think just kind of having the understanding and the mindset that, you know, somebody's helped me get to where I am, and it's now that I'm where, you know, a little bit further down the road, I can kind of turn back and help others. I think you guys are in that position, and it's I think the future of Brazilian taiko, or taiko in Brazil, is in good hands with you guys. Yeah, and I hope you guys continue to work on yourselves, but also continue to help the community, You guys have been doing that since we met, but I think now you're in a position to do even more, and it makes me really happy, makes me proud, makes me look forward to seeing what the next 15 years of Taiko in Brazil is going to bring. Yeah.
Wow. That was awesome.
Yeah. Bom, pessoal, ele falou que, né, em português, pense com a cabeça e toque com o coração, mas é preciso ter um plano. Ele citou o Neymar, de como é o planejamento dele, como ele faz as coisas, como ele treina, o que ele vai comer. Então, da questão da cabeça, ele falou quais as técnicas eu preciso. E ele falou na parte do coração, no final do dia todo mundo é músico, você precisa tocar as outras pessoas, mas o mais importante, você precisa ser tocado, você precisa saber o que te motiva, o que te inspira para poder inspirar as pessoas. Então, usar a inteligência, a cabeça e a emoção, que é o coração. Isso ele fala para as pessoas que estão tocando taiko e querem melhorar. E agora, na segunda parte, ele fala para os líderes, que agora já estão crescidos, que nós temos a responsabilidade de ajudar os outros e remover as barreiras desses outros tocadores para eles alcançarem o melhor deles. Que a gente tem essa responsabilidade. Então, ele comentou, alguém me ajudou a chegar onde eu estou hoje. Então, eu vou ajudar as pessoas a chegarem aonde elas querem. Então, ele fica muito orgulhoso e muito feliz que o futuro do taiko, o futuro do Brasil está em boas mãos. E então, que o importante para nós líderes é ajudar a comunidade. E hoje ele sente que, não só naquela época que a gente já estava numa posição de liderança, mas hoje que está numa posição muito maior, e que realmente ele está orgulhoso disso tudo.
Yeah.
Nice. Bom, antes de terminar, before we end, eu queria falar algumas palavras, alguns comentários sobre o Sensei. I would like to say a few words to you, Kageyama Sensei.
Okay.
Quando um professor vem para cá do Japão, geralmente ele quer, a maioria deles, não todos, ele quer mandar em tudo. Ele é meio mandão e ele tem uns discursos meio longos, né? Ele quer mostrar que tecnicamente ele é bom, né? Não todos os professores, mas a maioria dos professores que eu encontrei, ele tem assim uma figura mais assim, né, imponente. E sempre querendo se mostrar muito. Aí o Kageyama Sensei, ele foi muito diferente, é uma coisa que eu lembro muito, que ele sabia o momento exato, de uma forma bem tranquila, sem querer se impor. Tenho certeza que ele viu a gente tocando Odaiko bem ruim, e ele sendo campeão de Odaiko, ele nunca chegou pra gente e falou, você tá tocando Odaiko podre, tá tocando Odaiko ruim, por favor, toca desse jeito. Não, ele sempre encorajou e inspirou a gente, sempre dando uns toques, por isso que para mim ele é mais do que um sensei, né? Eu considero ele um grande amigo. Now I'm going to translate. Most of them, not all, okay, taiko teachers that came from Japan to teach here in Brazil, they always have long speeches, and they always they were a little bossy, you know. And you, Kageyama Sensei, were totally different, and it is something that I will remember, that I will always remember, that you always have had the right moment, few words, clear words, clear words to teach us. And of course, you saw us playing Odaiko poorly at that time. I'm pretty sure you thought that, well, the Teruo is really bad, but you never come to us and say, oh, you have to play like this, and do this, and do this. You are playing wrong. You always came to us to inspiring us and motivating us. So that's why I think I will always remember that. And I think you are, for me, more than a teacher, a great friend. So it is an honor to have you here. And I hope, like Eric said, that one day you come back to Brazil when things will be better. Get normal. Yes, you come to Brazil.
Yeah, you guys are like my second family, you know, like brothers and sisters, cousins and nephews. Like, yeah, I feel really, really close to you guys, and because of the time that we spent together, I think it was a very special time. It was intense, and you know, there were some really interesting moments, but I think, you know, overall it was a really, really positive experience for me. It's memories that I hold very dear to my heart, and I'm glad that you guys feel the same way, and that you know, you want to have me back, and that we're able to talk here. I would hope next time we talk is under better circumstances, like maybe there isn't a pandemic going on, but yeah, I eventually, I have no doubt that our paths will cross again, and I really look forward to that.
Good. Nice.
Cool.
Alguma palavra de fechamento, vocês dois, pro sensei?
Yes.
I just want
Oh, I
to.
just want to thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I hope you can drink again sometime.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sensei.
Cool. Thank you.
There are a lot of words here, a lot of comments saying thanks to you. And we're going to meet one more day, right?
Yeah, very soon. I hope.
Yeah, let's do it.
Então, pessoal, a gente chegou ao final de mais uma live. Nessa é a 15ª live. A gente vai acabar a primeira season, né? A primeira temporada das lives com a de hoje. Nós iremos dar uma pausa, né? This is the last broadcast episode from our first season of Brasil. Então, a gente vai terminar hoje a live. Vamos reorganizar as lives, pensar em outros temas. Já foram 15 lives, nessas 15 lives nós falamos sobre diversos temas, criamos vários conteúdos, trazemos várias histórias e hoje fechamos com chave de ouro com o Kageyama Sensei. Muito obrigado, Yuji Higashi, muito obrigado, Lucas Muraguchi, obrigado pessoal do chat, não falei o nome de todos, mas muito obrigado pela presença de vocês aí e até a próxima. Aguardem mais notícias sobre as lives da ABT. Então,
thank you, Sensei. Obrigado, galera. Valeu. Tchau.
Valeu.
Thank you.